Hi members, my name is S.L.Ager and I'm the author of the 11 plus vocabulary novel series, The Cadwallader Quests, and their supporting workbooks. You can see those behind me there. And now we've got the Cadwallader Chronicles, which are aimed at younger readers, and there's the first book, Trap. I'd like to thank Agnes O'Brien for inviting me to host this session in her group. Agnes is the founder of this amazing community, the 11 plus ISEB, SATs, GCSE and A-level resource group. We've taken a short break from Tutor Focus, but it's great to be back and talking to some of our amazing tutors and resource providers once again. And today I'm talking to Helen and Lucy, the founders of the 11 plus English Club. Hi guys, how are you today?
Yes, very good, thank you. Thank you very much for having us.
Hello.
Hi. Well, guys, we like to keep the session fairly short because we know how precious time is. So if you don't mind, can we jump straight into questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I'll let you guys fight over who's going to answer. What speciality do you tutor and where are you based?
Okay, so the 11 plus English Club is a skills-based approach to English. And even though we are specialising in 11 plus, we actually see it as an investment for secondary English as well. And that kind of spans across grammar schools, it spans across independent schools as well. And it's all online, it's all done online.
Can you just elaborate a little bit on what you mean by skills-based, please?
Yeah, so we have taken the skills basically that are required for 11 plus exams, whether those are grammar or independent. And we have structured like a scheme of work between us as tutors so that students can focus on their core skills, build confidence, and eventually feel confident enough to be able to sit their 11 plus English exams.
Brilliant, thanks.
I think
Sorry.
So I was going to say, just to add to that as well, I think so like the main topics that we cover as well with English are like the core ones are like our comprehension and creative writing, but then we also do sort of like additional things like SPAG, like spelling, punctuation and grammar, and a bit of verbal reasoning on the side. So we aim to sort of like cover all areas of English so that the kids have like a sort of a full approach to the subject.
Brilliant. And what made you guys decide to collaborate?
So Lucy and I have, funnily enough, we've sort of worked very in tandem with each other over the years. It's been very coincidental. So we started our own separate English businesses about 4 years ago now. We actually both live in Essex. Weirdly, we've swapped towns over the years. So I was in Chelmsford, Lucy was in Southend, and now we're the opposite way around. But yeah, basically Lucy and I both offered a very similar service of, helping students with English and their 11 plus, and thankfully we've been very fully booked over the years, and we've always sort of recommended each other and, sort of swapped students and worked together in that sense. But at the beginning of this year, we were talking about this and we said, look, our waiting lists are so long now that we just can't accommodate everybody on them. But we hate that because we like to work with lots of people and we want to help them as much as we can. So this is really where the idea of the 11 plus English Club came from, is that it's kind of an opportunity for parents to work with both of us, get the best of both worlds, and basically get like almost like 10 years of our combined experience, along with like our teaching, our resources, because we make everything ourselves, nothing's taken from books or anything like that. So that was sort of where the main idea came from. And yeah, we launched about 2.5 weeks ago, I think it was now. So it's all very new and exciting.
So this probably leads into my next question really well. And what makes this different to what other people, I don't want to say tutors, but what makes your service different?
Mm-hmm. So I would say, firstly, we have scaled everything down to work with like the fundamentals of what we feel as tutors are important for 11 plus prep. And sometimes in the world of 11 plus, it can be so overwhelming for parents and for students that we wanted to, offer something that we feel is easy to follow and is also very, very structured. In the sense that a child will watch one of our masterclasses and they will then get a handout which is based just on that masterclass. So it all ties in really, really nicely. We're not just kind of giving them access to absolutely everything for them to then feel slightly overwhelmed and, oh, I don't know what to do. We wanted to, you know, just offer something that is, like I said, easy to follow, that can help eventually build that confidence and for them to know exactly where they're at in the syllabus. And obviously having Helen and I there constantly as well for any kind of advice or questions along the way.
Yeah, I think it's a very flexible setup, really. I think that was the main thing we were going for. So, you know, if you're the kind of family who wants to maybe work a bit more independently, perhaps, you know, you've got busy schedules, you don't have time to come along to live classes or, you know, group sessions or something like that, they've got access to all of these like live masterclasses that we do. On the website, what we've done is like everything's structured very strategically. So for example, you've got like 10 steps to comprehension, 10 steps to creative writing. So parents almost don't need to scrabble around trying to work out what resources they should be doing. You know, it's like a very strategic method to work through. But then on the flip side, we've also given it the flexibility that if you are the kind of family who wants to be present, wants to be there live with everything, everything's accessible. We have like live classrooms where we can interact with the kids as well. So it's, as we say, we're trying to get a bit of the best of both worlds to suit everybody's different needs, really.
Okay, so obviously my questions are usually aimed at a specific tutor. So I'm going to have to tweak this a little bit. So how would you say your tutoring strengths come across via the 11 Plus English Club?
Lucy, do you want to go first?
Thank you. So it's funny because Helen and I, we often joke that we're like two peas in a pod. We're very similar in how, you know, in our approach to teaching. So, you know, I like to keep things nice and calm, relaxed. I think Helen can say the same as well. But also within the 11 Plus, because it is such a challenge at times, it's about keeping things fun still, because we are still dealing with children. You know, they're not adults. Sometimes we forget that as tutors, but they are children. They want that fun, they want that incentive to keep the momentum going. So I try and make things as fun and as creative as I can, just to, you know, to keep them engaged. So, and that's definitely something that you know, thankfully I can still bring to the 11 Plus Club. Helen, what would you say? I'm sure yours is pretty similar to mine.
Yeah, it's very similar. I think for me as well, like when we were talking about sort of the course syllabus and like the sort of steps we'd go through. So in terms of my strengths, I think that like I'm quite experienced with teaching. So before I did a lot of this, I actually worked in secondary schools as like an education consultant, and I used to go in and do like intensive stuff with GCSE. And it was actually that kind of inspired me to come back to teaching primary school, because I just saw so many kids going through the system, getting to that GCSE level, and actually just lacking the core skills that they really needed, that they should have been learning back in like year 5, year 6. So that was a really big part of the 11 Plus English Club for me when we were talking about it. So I was saying, you know, these skills we're talking about here, they have to help the kids feed into secondary school. This can't just be about ticking a box of passing an exam and then we just let them go off, you know, and see how they fare. So that's, I think, is a really big thing. And I taught abroad as well. I taught English as a foreign language. So, you know, for families, maybe English isn't their first language, there's a lot of that grammar and stuff that we put in there as well to help support them.
Cool. And what do you guys like so much about tutoring? What's your favorite part?
Lucy, do you want to go again?
So I mean, it's kind of cliche, but for me, it comes down to seeing a child's confidence grow. And that doesn't just have to be measured academically, you know, that can just be within themselves. I've taught, you know, a wealth of students in groups, in one-to-one settings, and it just every single time you see that kind of that hurdle that they've jumped and they're like, yes, I've done it, and their confidence is built, it's just like, oh, it's the best thing about it personally for me. I love kind of seeing how, you know, a child can start off really not grasping concepts and, you know, lacking confidence and just saying like, why don't I understand it? How comes I keep getting questions wrong? And then just gradually seeing them progress and saying, hey, look, a couple of weeks back, do you remember you said you couldn't do that and now you can? And they're like, oh yeah. And they then apply all of this stuff to, you know, the rest of their personal lives, their school lives. And that's, yeah, it's pretty pivotal, I would say, as a tutor, to see that.
I'm sure you've got all those sentiments as well, Helen, but is there something else that you enjoy?
Yeah, I totally echo everything that Lucy just said. I think a big thing for me as well is that, again, sounds like a little bit cliche, but I genuinely love what I do. I love English. If I'm honest, though, when I was younger at school, I actually didn't enjoy English that much. It's something that sort of came to me as I moved through school. And I think a part of that, if I'm honest, you know, I went to a great school, I had great teachers, but sometimes I think the way that English is taught is a bit dry, you know, especially when you're going through classic texts and it's quite challenging. And, you know, grammar and things like that, like we really try hard to make punctuation and grammar fun in lessons, but, you know, sometimes it's a process.
Jude, my son, he's doing GCSE English and he's never liked reading or English, but he cannot get his head around why he's got to learn poetry quotes. You know, he finds it so dry. And, you know, on the whole, his English teachers have been brilliant, and thank goodness, because they've really lifted him up. But like you say, it's so dry. Why?
It's those painful classes, you know, where they sit there and they just spend the whole lesson reading. Oh goodness. So that is something we totally try and avoid. And for me, like so many kids that come to Lucy and I, you know, they need extra English support ultimately. So when we ask them, they tend to say maths or science or arts. They're their favorite subjects. So like we always say to them, our mission by the end of working together is that you're going to enjoy English. It's going to become one of your favorite subjects. So it's just about injecting a bit of life and enthusiasm into it as well, and not just being a tick box subject that they have to cover.
Absolutely. And from my experience as well, I think English is the key to passing the 11 plus.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah.
And I think the schools want that, because once these kids are in these grammar schools, especially some of the more super selective, if their English isn't up to scratch, they can't keep up with the pace of the teaching.
Yeah.
No, it's very true.
That's just my personal experience, really. So guys, you're only allowed one tip each. One. And if you start going over one, I'll ring a bell. Okay, one top tip for parents each.
So I would say it's all about mindset. So rather than focusing just on the academics, make sure that you have adopted, if possible, a growth mindset towards study, towards life at home, you know, towards anything at all, any challenge that your child is going to face. And within growth mindset, we talk about, yes, we make mistakes, but we're going to celebrate them. We're going to say yippee, because it's an opportunity for us to learn from them and, you know, really see in black and white the things that we have to work on. So it's, and I don't know about Helen, but certain kids that I've tutored that have a really good positive approach to study and to life, you know, with constructive criticism, they are the ones that they tend to have more resilience, you know, and as they work through that kind of syllabus and get to exam season, things like that, they're taking it in their stride, and a lot of it becomes fundamental to them, I would say, as kids.
I think that's a brilliant tip. You know, nothing sort of pains me more when I read on the forums or in the groups when a parent will say, the teachers have said this about my child. I'm not sure if they're smart, intelligent enough to pass the 11 plus. And it really kills me, because I just think anybody's smart enough to do anything if they want to, if they've got the right opportunity and the right guidance.
Exactly.
It's so sad when kids are labelled so young. So parents, please, your child can achieve if they've got all the right input. I really believe that. So, so Helen, your one top tip.
Yeah, and you know what? It completely carries on from what we're just saying. Mine is about be consistent. It's you know, all of us as you say, everyone has got the opportunity and the ability to do things, but in life, you know, I mean, all of us three here, you know, Sheena, yourself, you've like written your books, and like we run our own businesses. Like we all know you have to be consistent, you have to keep going. Like that's what helps us sort of all in life to be successful. And I think it's the same with the 11 plus, you know, there'll be days where you maybe aren't in the mood, or there are other things that come up, but it's just that chipping away little and often. There's a famous 1% rule, you know, Atomic Habits, recommend the read, but that's the process of it. It's all about, you know, just little and often, you know, it wins the race at the end of the day.
Yeah, and there will be good days and bad days. You know, a parent recently said, how do I cope when my child really just doesn't want to do this? And you know, you've just got to, like you say, keep going and try and work through that day, and slow and steady wins the race, as we know. The 11 plus is a marathon and not a sprint. We know
Very
that.
true.
So brilliant tips, guys. Now, just before, usually I just say at this point, tell us where we can find you online, but just apart from telling us where we can find you, just tell us exactly how somebody would sign up for the 11 plus English Club, how that works, because they might not be quite clear.
Yep. So what we can do, so Lucy in a moment will say that the links and things of where to find us, but basically once on the website you go onto the membership, you get a 3-day free trial, so we want everyone to have a chance to look around.
So it's a subscription, is it?
It's a subscription, yeah. Okay. So that's the flexibility part of it as well. Right. So once you sign up, you have a 3-day free trial. We invite you into our sort of private community group, which is where we do all like the live lessons and things like that. And then you've also got instant access to all of the resources. And we really encourage people to jump straight into like our 10 steps to success, which is like what Lucy said about mindset and getting your head around the schools and the exams and things like that. And then once they're there in part of the membership, as we say, they have the flexibility to be there every day doing some activities if they want to, or they can pick and choose the days of the week which work for them.
It sounds brilliant, it really does. So Lucy, where can we find you, please?
So you can find us at the 11 Plus English Club on Facebook. So we would encourage you to like our page, and then all of our links, direct links to the website and subscriptions is all on there.
Okay. And parents, if you're not sure, there is a difference between a Facebook page and a Facebook group. So you can find their page and like it. And only when you like it will you get the notifications, okay? You don't have to join a page. You can just go on there and get all the information. So do you have a website as well then, guys?
We do. The website, so the website address needs tweaking slightly. So it is, it's just www.11plus English Club, all as words, no letters or numbers, sorry, no letters, no numbers, 11 plus English Club, and then it's .thinkific.co.uk, but we're currently editing the web address because it's got that's like the system we use in the background. So yeah, Facebook is probably for now the easiest place.
Okay, so guys, go to Facebook, the 11 plus English Club, and it's Helen and Lucy, okay? Lovely. Thanks a lot, guys. It's been a real pleasure talking to you.
Oh, thanks so much, Sheena, and you.
And all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.